Episode of Tipping Points and Puzzle Pieces. My name is Mark Boatwright Frost. I'm the Executive Director of Resilient Ecosystems, a 501c3 nonprofit here in Kitsap County. And you know that it's going to be a discussion, except today it's not because Marwan, unfortunately, is tied up with Kitsap Community Resources doing good work. So I'm going to do a brief show talking about a lot of the subjects that we've been talking about so far, but mostly to give you perspective. And let's get right on that. Okay. So, um, sorry about ignore the text down below. I haven't figured out how to turn off the bloody listening thing. We're going to talk about growth and change, and we're going to talk about it from a perspective of how that how we look at it, and what we might think differently about it. So we get this thing to move forward. There we go. All right. So it's a matter of perspective. It always is, isn't it? Growth, we think of, think about plants, think about personal growth. We have warm, fuzzy feelings about it. We think about, meditating. We think about plants growing. We think about good things that come along with growth, our personal growth, how we become more caring, loving people, how we integrate better with our families, how we fix problems that we've had for a long time, how we deal with our own self esteem issues. These are things that we think of with growth. But when we think of change, we think of these very manufactured situations or situations where a government has changed the rules and it's going to cause us to do more work. Predominantly, not always, but predominantly, we think about change as something we're going to have to overcome. So we think of change as more of a manufactured, more of a a process that has to be gone through about overcoming. Where we think of growth as more of an organic and fluid process. Granted, both have work, you have to weed the garden and everything else, but you think about it differently. When you do meditation and you're pondering your place in the universe and you're pondering how you interact with other people, that seems more organic than going into work and saying you're going to have to change your processes, right? You get kind of that knot in your stomach. So, but the thing is, growth is change. So the picture here shows, plants grow, but they also change, sometimes radically different from the sprout to the actual plant at the end. And so it's all about growth and it's all about change. We just need to change the way we think about it. So when we think about it again, we think about growth as organic, natural, good. It just kind of happens. And the work that we do in it makes things grow and it makes us feel good. When we think about change and anything that has that term change in it, we think about it's goal driven, it's frightening, it's uncontrolled, meaning somebody else is controlling the process, usually not us. It feels forced, uncertain. The parameters are often very narrow and inequitable. You don't ever see that it feels like you have an equal say in the process. So change is hard. Change is hard because of the way we look at it and the way that we enact it. And it's kind of a trap that doesn't need to be there. So when we're talking about change, it should be more toward the organic than it should be toward the manufacturer. Plus, when you do change in a manufactured way, you're usually trying to get a goal in our society, mostly money or savings of money. And when you do that, it becomes that narrow focus and you miss some things and you have often unintended consequences. All right, so let's do a different approach. Let's try taking a natural, a known approach, supporting the growth over time, which will create change and allow us to move and adopt the pieces that we did not see when we were planning so that we have less unforeseen consequences. Using the broadest input possible, including diverse elements, natural systems based on shared humanity. Let's take a broader approach to change. And no gene splicing required. Okay, so let's look at things in a different context. Let's embrace our human diversity. One of the things that is rarely ever put into a change process is the diverse way humans interact and think and exist and experience life. And that catches you off guard every time. No change process ever meets this and does not end up with a huge problem or obstacle. So, why don't we take that into consideration when the process starts? So, everyone holds a piece. Everyone holds a piece. People who do not agree with you politically hold a piece. People who do not agree with you spiritually or religiously hold a piece. People who do not agree with you socially hold a piece to the puzzle. And it is as viable as your piece. It's just you have to get them to leave the religion, the politics, the social aside and talk about the human. Impossible? No, just hard. But that means you have to come at it from a human perspective as well. And that is something you have to work on, and it's something you have to train for because everything in your life up till now, I guarantee you, has taught you to be in conflict, not to cooperate. So the future depends on us building an inclusive, diverse puzzle of all of the pieces and working through problems to come up with priorities. And while this sounds really hard, when you get into the nuts and bolts of it, it's pretty easy if you keep to the basis of humanity. When you keep to the basis of humanity, it's like everybody needs food on their table. Needs a roof over their head. Everybody needs a way to communicate. Everyone needs to have the things that they need to have: warmth, power, and all of those pieces. Everybody needs water because without water, we end up with no food. So water and we can't live without water for more than 3 days. So we need water. It's the key to the whole thing. If anything, I would say that's the most important, though I don't think most people would agree with me. It's all interdependent, and water is the core of that interdependence. Was just told that there's an article out there about the Panama Canal slowing down shipping because they've had a multi-year drought and they don't have enough water to fill the canal, which is filled with fresh water from local sources. And so they have to slow everything down, which means all of the materials we get from all over the place, both Asia and Europe, have to slow down their delivery here, including with that. And let's talk just a second about climate change. In the last 2 weeks, we've had two category 3 or 4 hurricanes on either side of the Panama Canal, also slowing down traffic coming through. So the things that we depend on to get goods to our shelves, maybe sometimes goods we vitally need, is being threatened by lack of water in Panama. Is being threatened by climate change driven hurricanes that go on the east and west side simultaneously, slowing down traffic. Think about that. It's all interconnected. So when you go to the store and you look at the shelves, there are a lot of bare spaces right now. When you go to the store and you look at produce, there are more bare spaces right now because we had a horrible growing season due to climate change. And water is the key to a lot of what's going to happen in the future. But it's all vitally important, and it's only when we bring our puzzle pieces to the table and understand the importance of it and work together that we can change it. And together, we can change anything. Look at the ants adapting to the gap. And I'm not saying we're ants, but we have the same capacity to work together to solve big problems. But we have to sit down and embrace our humanity. It's the only way we can do this. So, to finalize this brief presentation, and I think I'm going to hit just about 10 minutes, it's autumn. Time moves forward, and are you ready for what comes next? And the answer is no, you're not. Nobody is, because we haven't even started thinking about it. So let's get started thinking about it. Reach out, go to the Kitsap Resiliency Project page on Facebook. Keep up to date with what's going on because over the next 2 or 3 months, we're going to be changing an awful lot of things and adding a lot of things and having a lot of events. So get involved. It's not going to, we're not going to pick your pocket. We're not going to mug you for money. We're going to talk to you about joining us in helping create victory gardens and create sustainable and thriving communities where people work together to help each other with obvious mutual benefits. So it's a good time for us to get together and have a good time. Thank you for watching. Hope you were with us next week, and you have a good week. And don't think about, get up off your butt and come get involved. Talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye bye.